Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing? I have a fun fact for you. Did you know that when you smile, you can't feel your tongue? Thank you for the smile. You tried it, didn't you? Yes, thank you. All right, let's begin then. There's a little note from the Dharmishta Rajagirians. Last week's sermon was full of magic. It wasn't me. You taught us that whatever the circumstances you're in, learn to make heaven out of what you've got. This was absolutely working throughout the week, Swami Mahansa. Many of us practiced it in full swing, in numerous ways in which we feel such a wonderful relief, softness within our hearts. Apramana pinsidu eva, Swami Mahansa, for every effort you take to keep us on the path to Nibbana. Well, this is the gateway to Nibbana. What do you expect? As I always keep reminding you, this is not a one-man band. It's not one man trying to do something for all of you. It's all for one and one for all. That is how it is. Whatever your contribution is, when you come here, that is a contribution you make to everyone. And whatever you experience, whatever you receive, is something you receive from everyone. This is a true testimony for what you give is what you get. If you are a kind-hearted and a good person, and you bring that goodness into this room when you come in here, it'll bounce off of each other. That's what happens. It's very difficult not to get a smile from someone when you smile at them, right? Don't you agree? See? See? That's all you have to do. If you want a smile from someone, put a smile on your face, and then they will smile back at you. What if you want a frown from someone? Unless you're a clown, right? If you want someone to frown at you, then all you have to do is frown at them. Haven't you lived long enough to have worked that out by now? Isn't that what happens in your families? At the workplace? When are people good to you? Tell me, when are people good to you? When you are good to them. Simple. When are people bad to you? When are people unkind to you? When you are unkind to them. So if you thrive in an environment in which people are good to you, that's what everyone wants, right? Everyone wants to be around what kind of people? Good people, kind people, soft-spoken people, people who care. See, so can't you make the world that you want around you just by being the person you want others to be? So who's the creator of your world? Who's the creator? You are the creator. Who's the destroyer of your world? You are the destroyer. You are the creator and you are the destroyer. How does that make you feel? Powerless or powerful? Powerful, indeed. See, once you understand this basic principle, this simple truth, now you can be however you want to be. You can be whatever you want to be. Your happiness is your own making, ladies and gentlemen. These are the simple truths that we come here to learn. Then you realize that you don't need to delegate your happiness to anyone else. People are far too busy trying to make themselves happy, so how can you expect them to make you happy? They've already got a full agenda. Everyone you see, they're far too busy trying to make themselves happy, so they don't bother trying to make someone else happy. That's why they're not happy. They're only trying to make themselves happy. That's not how happiness works. Why do you think I'm always happy? So to create the world that you want around you, you just have to be whatever you want. This simple truth empowers us. That means if you're not happy in your family, if you're not happy with your spouse, if you're not happy with your children, if you're not happy with your friends, if you're not happy with your colleagues, if there's something about them that you wish to change, stop trying to work on them and look within. People treat you the way you treat them. It's a timeless truth. People treat you the way you treat them. If you want to know what people see when they look at you, where do you go and stand? Where do you stand just before you leave your house? In front of the mirror. Because when you stand in front of the mirror, you know what people see, right? And you know whether people are going to laugh at you or smile at you. You know that. Or whether they're going to give you a frown or a funny look. You care about that, so you go and stand in front of the mirror. In the mirror, what do you see? Other people or yourself? Yourself. So when you go look yourself in the mirror, can you not tell that the next person that looks at you, that sees you on the street, is either going to smile at you, frown at you, wink at you? Huh? Give you a funny look? Or maybe whistle at you? See, you can tell everything that about how another person is going to treat you simply by looking at yourself. And that's why you stand in front of the mirror. It's a simple truth. So in the mirror you see your physical self. How about where do you see your mental self? Through your mind you see your mental self. Through your mind you see your mental self. Your very being is your mind's creation. That is why we come here to study how the mind works. It's the greatest magic there is, really. How the mind works. It's phenomenal. Once you understand how the mind works, ladies and gentlemen, you have understood it all. Simple as that. Once you have understood how the mind works, you have understood it all. That's why people should be spending far more time trying to understand how their minds work. But that's the last thing that's on people's mind, unfortunately. Most people spend a lot of time trying to understand everything but their mind. They spend a lot of time on their bodies. Every other stop along the street is not somewhere they address or help you develop your mind. Every other place you stop along the street is somewhere they try to cater to your body, your physical needs. That's because people don't understand that the mind is foremost. It's the forerunner. Mano pubbangama dhamma. Mano setta manomaya. See, manasache paduttena bahasati va karoti va. Tatonan dukkhamang veti. Chakkangva vahato padam. As the Buddha says. The mind is the forerunner. The mind is everything. The mind is all powerful. If the mind is good, is wholesome, then everything that happens to you will be wholesome. He speaks of your mind. If the mind is tainted, if the mind is tarnished, if the mind is unwholesome, then everything that happens to you will be unwholesome. Quite literally. Quite literally. I cannot emphasize this enough. Every happiness is your making, every sorrow is your own making. Every grief is your own making. Every disappointment is your own making, but we think that other people disappoint us. We feel that way, don't we? How many times have you asked the question, why do I disappoint myself? Versus, why do you disappoint me like this? Which one have you heard yourself saying more often? Why do I disappoint myself, or why do you disappoint me? There you go. It's the same drill, whether it's at home, whether it's at work, whether it's at school, wherever you go, among friends. See? That's because we haven't understood these simple truths. So this is a university of life. And it's amazing what we do here. Actually, it's quite extraordinary, I have to say. You know, just think about it, right? Gateway College transforms into a temple every Sunday morning. Isn't that remarkable? Every other day of the week, young people, young minds, they come here to learn knowledge. They come here to acquire knowledge. And on a Sunday, you come here to acquire wisdom. So here you get the best of both worlds. That's quite remarkable, I think. You have made this a temple. A temple is not where the stupa is, the pagoda is. That's not where a temple is. The temple is not where you have a Dharma hall or a Dana hall or a Buddha statue. That's not where the temple is. A temple is created in your mind. Just as we discussed last week, a heaven is created in your mind, hell is created in your mind. Well, a temple is also created in your mind. This word Pansala, it's a beautiful word. It has such a profound meaning. Although we think Pansala is just temple, it's not. There's a very profound meaning hidden in that word. The word itself means to cleanse. Quite literally, it actually means to cleanse. It is the etymology of the word is to cleanse. To cleanse the mind of attachment to the 5 aggregates. Did you know that? That's what Pansala means. Pansala is to cleanse the mind of the attachment to the 5 aggregates. It's where you eradicate Rupa Upadana. It's where you eradicate Vedana Upadana, Sanya Upadana, Sankhara Upadana, and Vijnana Upadana. Upadana is clinging, attachment. What happens when you attach? You? One word, suffer. What happens when you detach? Freedom. So what do you do in a Pansala? You find freedom. So what have you been doing since the first sermon? Attaching or detaching? Detaching. What have you been learning to do? Attach or detach? Detach. So, if that is what your minds have been learning to do every time you walked in here on a Sunday morning, then what is this place? It's a Pansala. Even if there's a pagoda and a Buddha statue, if what people who either live there or visit there, if what they do is keep on attaching, that's not a Pansala. That's not a Pansala, is it? That's a temple. So welcome to Gateway Temple. First timers? Give me a show of hands, first timers. Wonderful. Welcome. Welcome to the Rajagirian Gateway family. Hopefully you'll be second timers next week. Actually, we don't have a sermon here next week. Because next week we have, excuse me, next week we have the Katina ceremony at the monastery. So I have a short video to show you, which I will do in a moment. A short video of how we, well, I'm not sure the celebrated is the word, but I'll use it. how Kathina was celebrated last year, just to give you an idea as to what to expect if you can take the time to visit us at the monastery next week. But then the week after, we'll be back here again. So second timers, hopefully you'll be back here that week. We must come here not to learn the Dhamma. Although people might invite you, come here, listen, learn the Dhamma. You can learn the Dhamma at home. There are plenty of websites in which you can do that. Yeah? There are plenty of websites you can go to learn the Dhamma. You can buy a set of the Tripitaka books and read it page to page and learn the Dhamma. You can go to the Hampahasal and learn the Dhamma. People don't come here to learn the Dhamma. People come here to learn about themselves. That's what people come here for. People come here to learn why they get angry and how not to be. People come here to learn how to be happy. People come here how to learn what a disappointment is. Once you understand what a disappointment is, disappointments don't happen again. All of these are like ghosts. Once you've seen it, it's gone. That's the beauty. Once you've seen the beast, it's gone. So that's why in these sermons, although it sometimes seems like we keep going into the depths of Dhamma, it is ultimately to help you understand who you are, your temperaments, the ways in which your mind works. If that is not what you get from here, then your Sunday has been a waste of time. This is not an academic approach to the Dhamma. This is a very practical approach to the Dhamma. A very practical approach. That's why we spend a lot of time talking about examples, about how you apply the principles you learn here and how your life must transform as a result of imbibing the Dhamma. Remember what I've always said, how do you know whether you have taken on the Dhamma? What's the best test? Ask the people who live with you. What do you ask them? Give me a test and I'll give you all the answers. Give me a Dhamma test. Is that the question you had to ask them? Is it? No. What have I asked the husbands in the room to do when you get home? To find out whether the Dhamma has done anything for you. Husbands? Who can confirm that? Your wives will confirm it. Ask your wives, am I a better husband than I used to be? If the answer is yes, and you have done nothing else differently besides coming along to these sermons, that is the proof. If you are a wife, then ask whom? Ask your husband. Am I a better wife? If you are a son, if you are a daughter, if you are a child, what must you do? Ask your parents. If you are a friend, we are all friends to someone, what can you do? Ask your friends. Ask your brother, ask your sister. If they can confirm, if they can attest to the fact that you are a better human being, then these sermons have been worthwhile. Hand on heart, that is what I'm trying to do here. Nothing more, nothing less. What this world needs is better human beings. That's what this world needs. Because there are plenty of scientists out there, there are plenty of mathematicians out there, there are plenty of Dhamma teachers out there, there are plenty of philosophers out there, there are plenty of everything out there. What a pity. We live in the human world and what is scarce is humanity. There are a lot of people who understand the Dhamma, but there are only few and far between who have actually internalized those teachings and transformed within so that they are better human beings. I'll ask you one question. Does the name Sariputta Thera ring a bell? Most of you will have heard of that name. Yeah? When I tell you about, when I say that name out loud, the great venerable Sariputta, is it his wisdom that comes to your mind, or how good a person he was that comes to your mind? What comes to your mind? How do you know how much wisdom he had? Do you think you're ever going to know how much wisdom he had? Because he was only second to the Buddha in terms of his wisdom. He was only second to the Buddha. Okay, put the Venerable Sariputta Thera to aside. The Buddha. What are you impressed by? His wisdom? Do we even know how wise he was? Will we ever? Do you understand the size of his compassion? Will we ever? Because however much you think his compassion is, it's an infinite times more than that. So we are never going to know the size of his wisdom, his understanding of the Dhamma. But here's what we do know. He was an incredible, an amazing human being. That's what we know. In fact, you were impressed by the Buddha even before you started to listen to the sermons. You had a statue at home. You offered flowers. You offered water. You took alms to the monasteries, to the temples, because you loved the Buddha. Because of what you'd heard about him. What a great human being he was. See, this is what will always remain. What a great human being you are. People will not know how much you understand the Dhamma. That is not what's important. People will always remember how you made them feel. That they will never forget. You know, there's a saying, people will forget what you've told them, but they will always remember how you made them feel. You tell people something you know. You make people feel who you are. That's the way it works. Don't you agree? You can tell someone something you know. Like, today's Sunday. That's something you know. Someone will forget that you ever said that. But you can only make someone feel what you are within. Would you like to have the power to make someone feel good without saying a word? Would you like to have the power to make someone feel good without saying a word? If you are good within, people will feel that. That's the magic. That goodness will start to emanate from yourself. It's not you might ask me, is it an aura? Don't worry about that. Do you see anything emanating from me? It's not that I'm talking about. Whether there is an aura or there isn't an aura, let's not worry about that. But, when your heart beats, ladies and gentlemen, the whole world resonates to that rhythm. So make sure when your heart beats, it beats out of love, compassion, kindness. This is how every heart should beat. With love, kindness and compassion. There are too many hearts beating out there with anger, resentment, jealousy, greed, fear. Too many, far too many. That's why we're about healing hearts and mending minds. So today we have another opportunity, another day, to make a little change in ourselves and a huge difference to the world in which we live. Because when a little change is made in each and every one of you, that's a big difference, isn't it? That's the beauty of bringing a friend along. You can change the world like that. Just one friend. That's the beauty of bringing your sister along. That's the beauty of bringing your brother along, your best friend along, your neighbor. That's the beauty of bringing your neighbor along. You can change the whole neighborhood. Don't ever undermine yourselves. Don't think I'm just one person, what can I do? I'm also one person. Look at what we've done. I came here looking for a classroom to do a sermon for 10 people. Remember, sir? I looked at this room and I thought, whoa, this is too big. When I was first ushered into the room, well, this is too big. Today, we're having to bring in chairs from the other rooms to fit people into here. Soon enough, we're going to have to get people to sit on each other's laps. Or maybe you'll have to come and sit either side of me. So what makes you think that one man can't make a difference? Can't you make a difference? If you want the world to change the world within, and the whole world will change. People so undermine and belittle, underrate their ability to influence the whole world. You can change the whole universe if you want to. Because everything out there, the entire cosmos, is a creation of your mind. Everything. From the tiniest speck of dust to Mount Everest and everything in between is a creation of your mind. That's the power that you possess. So there you go. So if you learn to tame your mind, there's no saying what you can do. The power of your mind is limitless. The first power that you will have is the power to be happy no matter what happens around you. Let's start there. Everything else will follow. Okay? All right. Let's bring our palms together then. In veneration of the great Master who revealed these truths to us, who laid down the path for all of us to follow, and in his footsteps we make progress on the path to eternal bliss, to ultimate happiness. And to his name we make this veneration, and as we do so, let us also renew our pledge of allegiance to the Noble Triple Gem and promise ourselves that from here on till the end of time, I will be faithful to the path, I will be faithful to myself, and I will be faithful to the truth. Let us make our veneration by chanting the Namaskar. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. So I think to leave us enough time for us to have a good Dhamma discussion, I'm going to start off by showing you the video then, if that's okay. So this is a video of last year's Kathina Pinkama at the monastery. This year's will be very similar. So there's a period chanting that will happen overnight starting on Saturday. And then on Sunday, so in the video you will see that on Sunday when the Kathina cloth was handed over to the Swamin Wahanses and then retrieved from the monks so that it could later be offered, you will see that a familiar face is missing in the line of monks. You tell me what face that was. Because that face was in Rajagiri last year. Do you remember? Yes. Because last year we were a new family. But this year, we are family. So I expect there will probably be more of you there this year. But in any case, on Sunday, I will arrange for a sermon to happen at the monastery for those of you who might be coming in. I expect some of you might not be able to turn up on Saturday, given other engagements you might have, which is completely reasonable and understandable. But even if you can come in on a Sunday, which is when the Kathina cloth will be handed over to the monks, which they will then sew and prepare a robe out of it. The robe gets handed back to the devotees, which is all of you, and then you will be offering it as a robe later on in the afternoon, just around almsgiving time. So that's the way it works. That is how it's always worked, right from when the Buddha declared that the rainy season should be observed by monks. So before that, there was no such rule. There was a time when monks would travel and they would do their sasana service. So it didn't matter to them whether it was rainy or whether the weather didn't bother them. But then what happened was, during the rainy season, nature starts to flourish, and little insects, these things, they start coming out of the ground. And there were people at the time who accused the monks of walking around even during the rainy season, and when they did so, they said that you're treading on these innocent creatures and taking their lives. So how can you do that? This was an accusation that was directed towards the monks in the Buddha's time. Imagine how many monks there must have been at the time. Today I think we have about just under 20,000 or so in Sri Lanka. Can you believe that? What's our population? 22 million. Only 20,000 monks for all 22 million of you. 150 of them are at our monastery. They're becoming very few and far between. That's because it's easy to become a monk, but it's very difficult to remain one. That's why. It is. You have to come in understanding what monkhood is about. Your mind must become a monk first. The physical transformation can happen later. If it is the other way around, well, usually one happens but the other doesn't happen. If that doesn't happen, the mental transformation doesn't happen, then you're not going to remain in this cloth forever. It becomes very difficult. This is the cloth of arahants. So you have to be able to at least pretend to be one. At least. At least pretend to be one. When there are those internal battles going on, you can't relieve yourself of vexation. So it's best when people come into the sasana having understood the Dhamma. Otherwise it's incredibly difficult to remain in a row. But anyhow, back in those days, before the rains retreat was declared by the Buddha, monks used to travel around preaching the Dhamma, serving mankind, going around on alms and all sorts. And then when the Buddha received these complaints, mainly from people of other faiths and non-believers and so on, the Buddha declared that henceforth, during the rainy season, the monks would remain put. So they would remain in one place and observe the rains retreat. So a 3-month period was declared, and ever since, throughout the world, it matters not, because in different parts of the world, the rainy season is a different season, a different period of time of the year, right? But throughout the world, so universally, it is observed during this period. And since then, for the last, 2,500 or so years, wherever the Buddha's ministry is being practiced, the monks observe the rains retreat. So we've been doing that ever since we arrived at our monastery for the last 7 years. But this cut in a cloth, that was not a thing until later on. So what happened then was, there were times when the monks were in the retreats, they were in their monasteries and temples and so on. But the monks, only being people of very simple means, they had very few belongings. I mean, what is a monk's life if you have many things to look after? Right? One of the greatest joys of monkhood is having little to worry about, having little to look after. You know what it is like when you have lots to look after, don't you? That's why you have a pair of keys in your pocket right now. I don't have a pair of keys in my pocket. See, I'm a free man. So monks had very little they had to look after. One pair of robes, maybe two pairs of robes. That was all. But then during the rainy season, things were very wet. And so even when the monks would go on alms or at the monastery, when it rained heavily, it was very difficult to dry their robes or have something dry to wear. And so this was raised to the Buddha, and then the Buddha declared that during the rains retreat, for any monk who has observed the rains retreat, they qualify to receive an additional robe, which they can use and keep for themselves. So that additional robe then went on to become the Katina robe. So that's how it happens. So it is customary and reasonable for anyone to know and think and understand that whenever you offer a Katina robe, it will be by the monks' consensus, the monks who live at a particular temple or a monastery, by their consensus, it will be offered typically it was customary back then for it to be offered to the monk who was most suitable to receive that offering. Various groups determined differently how the most suitable monk was. In some places it was the most senior monk, but in other places it was the monk who had strived most to attain their spiritual enlightenment during the 3 months period. So there are various things that determine who the most suitable monk was. So in every place it will be slightly different, but you can be rest assured that wherever you do a Katina robe offering, it will be taken up by a monk who has observed the rains retreat. If the rains retreat is not observed, then they don't qualify to receive a robe. So then they have to manage themselves with whatever robes they have. And that's why a Katina robe came to be known, or the offering of a Katina robe came to be known as such a tremendously meritorious deed, because it was known that it was offered to a Swamin Wahanse who had remained in one place and had practiced. So they would not go on alms typically, because the devotees would invite the monks to remain in one place, and they would take on the obligation or the duty of offering alms. That's why typically in most places, one family would take on the responsibility of doing a Katina. Basically, it's not just offering the Katina robe, but also before the rains retreat, you would walk up to the senior monk or to the temple and make a request. Can I please be the chief benefactor for the rains retreat period? That's typically how it works. So there may be some among you who might have done Katina robe offerings to monasteries or temples of the sort. But typically it's when you as a family would go and invite the monks at the beginning and request for them to remain in one place, and you would look after them. That's how it used to work. Things have changed over time a little bit, but overall, the principles and the basic tenets of how it works has still remained the same. What's special at the monastery is for all of you who will turn up on the day, you get to actually take part in sewing the robe, which is not usually a meritorious deed that you get to take part in. Typically, you buy a robe, don't you? From a pirikara shop, you buy a robe typically. But at our monastery, what we've done is we've arranged for all of you to take part in sewing the robe. Sometimes it's just so you will be given a needle and thread, and you can stitch it. So that's an opportunity that you will all have if you will be there on the day. Anyhow, I've said enough. Let's watch the video so you know what to expect on the day.
2023 වසරට සමගාමීව ජේතවනාරාම විහාරයේ පුණ්‍යභාරයේ මහත්ම මහත්මීන්ගේ සහ දෙස් විදේශී සිට නන් අයුරින් සහ සම්බන්ධ වූ දායක දායිකා පින්වත් පිරිසගේ සැදැහැති දායකත්වයෙන් උතුම් කටින පුණ්‍ය මහෝත්සවයේ සියලු කටයුතු මෙසේ සිදු වූ වගයි. නෙතින් දැක සිතින් වන්දනා කරගනිත්වා වන්දනා කරගනිත්වා
මන ගුණ ඇති සම්මා සම්බුදු මෑණී තුන් භව දුක් දුරලනදම් කුසලවරුනි සම සාදුකාර දී දසකින් දුක්වන්නේ දුන් උසුගුණේ සිහි කරමයි සමුදුනේ අටමනු ලෝක නම් අනුග්‍යාදි දුසිරිහි සත සරසයා සමුදුගේ මහදම් කුසලබ කවරෝගේ සුරදේවා හිමිගත් ඉඳුරන් පෙළෙනාරෝධය නිතර සුව සුවයයි දැනෙනා මෝහය ධන අඳුර දුරු කළ සමිඳුගේ මහදම් උසු පැන්දහර සිත සලසයි
පටිභාය
ලෝක නම් අනුග්‍යාදි දුසිරිහි සත සරසයා සමුදුගේ මහදම් කුසලබ කවරෝගේ නින්නතිරෝදුක් විඳිමින් දිව යන කතර ලෝ සත විනවයි දාහය නොපෙනී සසර පැතිරී සමිඳුගේ දම් ඔසු සැම දින අතර අටමනු ලෝක නම් අනුග්‍යාදි දුසිරිහි සත සරසයා සමුදුගේ මහදම් කුසලබ කවරෝගේ සුරදේවා අපමණ ගුණ ඇති සම්මා සම්බුදු මෑණී තුන් භව දුක් දුරලනදම් කුසලවරුනි සම සාදුකාර දී දසකින් දුක්වන්නේ දුන් උසුගුණේ සිහි කරමයි සමුදුනේ අටමනු ලෝක නම් අනුග්‍යාදි දුසිරිහි සත සරසයා සමුදුගේ මහදම් කුසලබ කවරෝගේ සුරදේවා අටමනු ලෝක නම් අනුග්‍යාදි දුසිරිහි සත සරසයා සමුදුගේ මහදම් කුසලබ කවරෝගේ සුරදේවා අටමනු ලෝක නම් අනුග්‍යාදි දුසිරිහි සත සරසයා සමුදුගේ මහදම් කුසලබ කවරෝගේ සුරදේවා
How do you think I managed to earn myself a robe in this life? Someone offered it, yes. I didn't buy this, someone offered it. But I can only be offered what I deserve. You can never offer me something that I don't deserve. In fact, if you offered it to me, I would not be able to use it. So how do you think I became deserving of a robe? Such that I'm able to today use a robe to fulfill my life as a monk. What do you think I might have offered in my past lives? Any guesses? You get what you give. So, if there's even the tiniest dream in your mind somewhere, perhaps one day I myself can enter the sasana and wear this cloth that is the gift of the Buddhas to his disciples, both male and female, so that I can fulfill the Sambuddha Sasana and attain the same happiness and ultimate bliss that these monks today experience, then this is a fantastic opportunity for you to engage in that meritorious deed. Because you will have the opportunity to sew a robe with your own two hands. It's not something you get to do every day. Even at our monastery, it's not something you get to do every day. Because our Anagarika Mahatmyas, they're the ones who sew robes at the Anagarika Ram. Used to do it at our monastery, but then once the Anagarikas, they joined us, they requested to take on that task, and ever since, they have been doing a fabulous job. So this itself would have been a cloth that you would have offered as a devotee, but then sewn by our Anagarikas. And then they gift it, they offer it to the Mahasangha. So, I'm giving you inspiration. If you would like to experience what I experienced today, the embrace of this red cloth, this is an embrace. If you want to experience the joy that this brings me, then do as I have done. So this is a fantastic opportunity. Typically, as I said earlier, in many temples, and I'm not saying this is wrong, it's just the way things are done, we do some things a little bit different. Typically, the katina is taken on by an individual or a family. Typically, that's how it happens. And usually people have to stay in line for sometimes many years before it's your turn to do that. Yes, that's typically how it is. There's a good side to it and a not so good side to it from our perspective. The good side to it is you get to bring around everyone that you know, your friends, your family, and they get to take on the various bits and pieces of doing that, and you can engage in the whole meritorious deed all by yourself. Excuse me. But sometimes what is good is also what is bad. Because when you take it on yourself, then you're shooting yourself in the foot. Because if that becomes your meritorious deed, now an opportunity that you have to let go, what you have done is grasped and made your own. In some places I have heard, I have not seen, but I have heard that people are very precious about it, that they will make sure that no one else gets to do anything for that katina, either the offering or even the offering alms to the monks. Some families apparently are like that. When it's their katina, it is they who has to do everything and no one else is even allowed into the monastery, into the temple. Apparently some places that is how things happen. Once again, this is not me criticizing or anything, but what I'm saying is at our monastery we do things a little bit different. Because what we want is not for you to offer a katina robe. What we want is for you to attain Nibbana. All paths should lead to that destination. All of this, what we do, is a means to that end, ladies and gentlemen. So in whatever meritorious deed you engage in, we always encourage you to give up this sense of self. Engage in the merit, but don't think that it is my merit. When it becomes your merit, the potency of that merit reduces. it degrades. And the merit power is actually very little whatever merit you earn out of that is very little. But when you can actually give up and then engage in the meritorious deed, the merit that you earn out of it is magnificent, is magnanimous indeed. So that is why at our monastery, we don't actually hand out the Kathina ceremonies to anyone or any family in particular. It's the whole family. That's why you might have seen, they all come along and then they take part in the meritorious deed. It's no one's Kathina offering, it's everyone's. When something's not yours, whose is it? Whose is the air we breathe? Is it yours? Madam, sir, is it yours? The air you breathe? No, it's no one's, therefore it's everyone's. So why should it be that what is everyone's should be mine? There's only one thing that is yours really, and that is suffering. Nothing else is yours. Let's try and make sense of what I just explained there. So, one last time, there will be the Kathina ceremony on Sunday. The previous night, we have the Pirit chanting. So that will happen from just after Guru Swami Wahanse's sermon on Saturday, and we'll start around 5 or so. Okay, so if you're available, then please make your way to the monastery and engage in as many meritorious deeds as you possibly can. Each and every one of them will help you on your path to Nibbana. I am here today because of what I have done. You're here today because of what you have done. So if Nibbana is where you want to be, you will get there one day because of what you do. That's it. Najaccha vasalo hoti, najaccha hoti brahmano, kammana vasalo hoti, kammana hoti brahmano. Kamma is what you do. It's not where you are born or the circumstances into which you are born that leads you to happiness, to become a great person, or to become a bad person. It's the deeds that you do. That is why what you do is very important. We're going to learn about the world that you live in. Now, when I say that, you're probably already thinking, I know where I live, Swaminathan. I can give you my address if you want to. I can give you my address. I have a home there. I live in such and such place. It's in Colombo or somewhere around Colombo. And it's in Sri Lanka. I know where I live. I know the world that I live in. Actually, no, you think you know the world that you live in. I'm speaking of a different kind of world. Before we get into the depths of the world that you live in, let me ask you this question. I'll start with the simple one. You're all alive, aren't you? Or are you? You're all alive, aren't you? How do you know someone's alive? Don't say they're breathing. How do you know someone's alive? They're conscious, yes. They're conscious. So you might think, well, what about when they're unconscious? When they're unconscious, they don't respond to you. That's not to say that consciousness is not happening within them. Because if there's a mind, then consciousness is happening. Because a mind is consciousness. To be conscious is to have a mind. Simple as that. To be conscious. So you know you're alive because consciousness is happening within you right now. Within these bodies that you have brought here, there's consciousness that's going on right now. So in other words, you could even say that to be alive is to be conscious. That is why when you declare someone dead, you declare someone who is not conscious dead. Now again, I want to emphasize the fact that you might think, what about when you're unconscious? That's not what I'm talking about here. Because that is what medical science might tell you. They're unconscious, but consciousness is still there. They're just not responding as an average or a normal human being might do to external stimuli. But that's not to say that consciousness is not going on inside them. They may not be responding to sights or sounds or smell or taste or touch, but their minds are still working. Because you don't actually need all five senses for a mind to be created inside of you, because there is a sixth stimulus. As you will have heard, Rupa, Shabda, Gandha, Rasa, Sparsha, and the sixth one is Dhamma. Sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, and Dhamma. We don't talk a lot about the sixth one, but it is still there nonetheless. Your memories form part of that. So that is your sixth stimulus, your sixth sense, which feeds the mind process. So then to be alive is to be conscious. So how do you know you're all alive? You are conscious. Okay, good. What are you conscious of right now? Like I said, there are 6 things you could be conscious of. If we park the 6th one to a side for a second, we have 5 things we could be conscious of. There is sight, sound, smell, taste and touch. These are the 5 things you could be conscious of. Right. Now let's take one example. Let's take sight, just because it's the first one up here. Now you all know that you're seeing something right now, aren't you? Everyone awake so far? Yes, well then you're seeing something right now. Okay? How does seeing happen? How does seeing happen? Because seeing is something that has to happen, you know that, right? It's an event. Seeing is an event. It's not a thing. It's not like an object like this. It's an event, it's a process. So a process has to occur. It is an event that has to take place. It is something that has to happen. So these are all things that happen. They happen within these physical forms of yours, but the happening of these 6 things, say a thought object, the happening of these 6 things is when we say that's a consciousness. Okay? So some of this is very basic, but I want us to revisit some of those simple basic ideas, because I want to try and get from something you know to something that perhaps you've never thought about in this way. At the end of this conversation, what I want you to walk away with today, other than a headache, hopefully not, what I want you to walk away with today is a true understanding of the value of the world in which you live. Why do you still want to remain in this world? Don't you want to remain in this world? How do you know? Are you ready to die? Are you prepared to die right now, this moment? Now, some of you are nodding your heads. Okay. Be careful, I might ask you to prove it. So then if they ever took you to the hospital and then they diagnosed you with something terminal, or they said that you only got so many months to live, right? Or you have a fatal accident, right? Then you should simply say, no, it's fine, doctor. Don't worry about it. I'm all right. Don't worry about plugging these machines into me or anything like that. I don't need treatment. I'm prepared to go. There is nothing I'm attached to. I don't want to see, I don't want to see sound, I don't want to, hear, smell, taste, touch. I don't care for any of these things. There is nothing in this world that I can't leave behind. Right? So you don't need to keep me alive. In other words, you don't need to keep me conscious. Because what is being alive after all? Is to be conscious. You know you're alive because you're conscious. Just imagine if you became unconscious for 10 minutes. You're unconscious for 10 minutes. And let's just imagine when you regain your consciousness, you are not able to recall the last 10 minutes. Okay, let's assume that. Can you confirm to me with absolute confidence that you were alive for those last 10 minutes? Besides the fact that, of course, you know that, what is here should have been 10 minutes ago as well. But if you ignore that fact for a second, right? What evidence can you provide to me that you were alive for the last 10 minutes if you were unconscious for the last 10 minutes? Did that question make sense? Shall we do a practical exercise? So I'm going to knock someone unconscious. All right? Can I have... So one of you gets knocked unconscious. Okay? I mean, we can pick someone who said they don't want to live anymore. So it's fine, right? I mean, if you're ready to go, that means you don't care much about any of these things going on inside your mind, right? So you don't care about being alive, you don't care about being conscious. So you should be able to come forward on behalf of all these people who have come to Rajagiriya, right? All striving to attain Nibbana. Come on, you can make a little sacrifice, right? So I'm going to give you a knockout punch, or we'll ask a strong man or someone to come forward from the audience. I've forgotten how to give people punches, but we could ask someone to come forward and give a knockout punch to a volunteer, and we're going to knock them out unconscious for 10 minutes. Which reminds me, I used to have a teacher, a maths teacher. I loved him. But he had this little... When he used to get angry, he used to say, like whenever he got angry, I mean, he loved us, right? So I know he didn't mean this literally, and this was just a joke. But he didn't mean it as a joke. When he was angry, he looked like he meant it, and we were very, very scared. He would say we hadn't done our homework. He would come up to us and ask, "You've not done your homework, right?" "No, sir." "Right, tell me. I can knock you dead. Right? I can give you a knock. You tell me when you want to die. I can give you a knock so hard, you can die today, tomorrow, in a week's time, in a month's time. You tell me when do you want to die." So he would come and ask us when we would want to die. And then he would say that he could knock us unconscious so that we would die in that period of time. It was just a joke. None of us got that treatment. Fortunately, we are still alive. But it just crossed my mind. I had a teacher who used to do that, who used to say that, not do that, but used to say that. But he loved us all very much, and he taught us math. Let's imagine there was someone in the room who could do that, and they could knock someone not dead but unconscious for 10 minutes. Okay? So one of you is going to volunteer, and we are going to knock you out unconscious for 10 minutes. In that 10 minutes, let's assume you're not going to see anything, because that is what being unconscious is. You're not going to smell anything, you're not going to taste anything, feel anything, you're not going to do any of these things. I'm going to leave this one to a side, the last one. Thoughts. Okay? Let's ignore that for a second. So none of these 5 things is going to happen, or are going to happen in that 10 minutes. When you regain consciousness, what evidence can you offer me to convince me and convince yourself that you were alive over those 10 minutes? What can you offer? Nothing. You can't offer anything. The only evidence you will have, as I said earlier, is the fact that you are conscious now. You didn't just come out of your mother's womb, right? So you must have been there before the last 10 minutes. That is the only way you could connect those 2 dots and come to some kind of conclusion. But that's not what I'm saying. You have no evidence that you were alive for the last 10 minutes. It's like when people actually go into a coma. Now, most people think that when people go into a coma, It's because the mind stops. No, ladies and gentlemen, the mind doesn't stop like that. When you're in a coma, you're in a pretty messed up state. I mean, that's no surprise, right? When you're in a coma, you're in a pretty messed up state that your physical, let's say your brain and parts to do with your brain struggle to form those connections with your mind. Because there's a brain-mind interface that's going on in your inside of you. Your brain is kind of like the siphon. It collects all of these stimuli from the rest of your body, and it converts those stimuli into forms that the mind understands. It's like an interpreter. Without the brain, you would not be able to make a sense of much that's going on out there. Even your memories, a large part of what you remember is dependent on your brain being well. Which explains why you can't recall what happened in your previous life, because you don't have the same brain. There is a whole biochemical dynamic that goes on there that all supports your cognition. But that's a discussion for another day. For the time being, what I want you to understand is in that 10 minutes, you will not be aware of what would have happened to you, because nothing would have happened if all this is what's happening. So you would not have smelt anything, tasted anything, seen anything, heard anything, and so on. In which case, what could you tell me about the world in that last 10 minutes in which you were unconscious? What can you tell me about your world? Can you tell me that it was sunny? Was it rainy? In 10 minutes you might tell, well, nothing much can change in 10 minutes. So I'm answer, okay, let's say 10 days. I mean, sometimes you go into a coma and that could be a long period of time, right, before you regain your consciousness. Say 10 days. In that 10 days, was it sunny in your world? Was it rainy? Was it cloudy? Was it windy? Were you happy? Were you unhappy? Was it loud? Quiet? None of these things would make any sense to you because consciousness did not happen in that period of time. So to be conscious is to have these chittas arise within you. In other words, to be alive is to be conscious. If you are not alive, that would simply be a body. Just a body. Just a body. You might have a heart beating. You might have some of your organs functioning. There might be circulation going on, maybe even respiration going on, but that is a physical body that is operating like a machine. But if you're not conscious, then you can't say anything about the world in which you live because your world is your consciousness. Can I ask you a very simple question? How do you know your name? What's your name? That one. How do you know your name? That's a very integral part of your being, isn't it? Your world, my name. How do you know your name? Is it not in your consciousness? Now, aren't there times where you forget someone's name? And then you say, this fellow, man, kauda? You know that fellow? Who was it? And you keep going, remember? You try to recall someone's name. So while you're trying to recall someone's name, don't they have a name? Don't they have a name in this time when you're buffering? Don't they have a name? Don't they? They do, right? They do. But it's not in your consciousness. Because you can't recall it. Now, their name is not going to come as a sight or a sound or a smell or a taste or a touch. That's going to come as a memory, meaning as a thought object. So, whilst it doesn't draw from your memory and becomes a consciousness, it seems like they don't have a name, but they do. You can't say it. Now, if that is the case for someone else, what about you? So you have a name. Why do you have a name? Let's make sure you understand the question properly first. Because one answer is because my mother gave me one. That's not what I mean here. How do you know you have a name? Consciousness. Because of consciousness, you know you have a name. Now, there are two things that you know about you. One, you have a name. Two, your name. Anyone here who doesn't know their name? Thank you. Anyone here who doesn't know that they have a name? Thank you. Right? So there are two things about you that you know. You know that you have a name and you know your name. Yeah? Yes. How? Thanks to what? Thanks to consciousness. So if your name only exists in your consciousness, what is your name when you're not conscious? What is your name when you're, can I use the word unconscious for just for the time being? Right? But please don't think that by unconscious I mean someone who's like, the medical definition of unconscious. I mean unconscious in the way that I mean it. So I'm redefining the word unconscious here, to which I give the meaning a state where there's only the body and there's no mind. Okay? Shall I call it non-conscious? Just to be on the safe side, right? Let's call it non-conscious or a-conscious. No, this is getting overly complicated. Non-conscious, all right? So there is no consciousness. If you were made non-conscious right now, I have a magic wand that does that. Okay, so at the count of 3, you're all going to be non-conscious. Okay, let's assume you become non-conscious, but you can still speak. Okay, so 3, no, I started 1, right? 1, 2, 3. Right, so you're all non-conscious now. But you can still speak, okay? What's your name? You can't have one now. So, who does this name belong to? You. Does it belong to you? Because when you are not conscious, you have no idea what your name is. In other words, your name only exists in your consciousness. I used to have a different name. How come my name could change like that? Did any aspect of my physical form change? Besides the fact that I have no hair now, I had only little hair back then, now I have no hair. But did any physical aspect of myself change? No. But you see, if you asked me 8 or so years ago what my name was, I would have given you one answer. Today you ask me what my name is and I give you a different answer. So what is my name? What is my name? I ask you. My name. Not what my consciousness thinks it is. I'm just asking you, what is my name? With or without consciousness, what is my name? With or without consciousness, what is my name? What is my name? Do I have one? I don't have one. What name do you give to this? So when I'm dead, who do you say is dead? Do you say that Swami Nuhans is dead? No. You'll use a name on that day, even you will use a name, right? So you say, see this Swami Nuhans, he wasted our Sundays. This is the one, he's the one who wasted our Sundays. Right? He tricked us with a sandwich, right? That's all we got out of coming to Ratchagiri, and he wasted our Sundays. This Swami Nuhans, and you put a board up with the name on. Let's just say, you'll write something there, right? It'll probably start with an A. Right? You say, this is the Swamin Wahanse, and this was his name. I ask you, what part of him, when he's dead, or me, when I'm dead, is my name? Where does my name live? In my consciousness. Yes? It only lives in my consciousness. So if it only lives in my consciousness, is that something that belongs to me? So my previous name, when I was a layperson, was that my name? How come that name could change? Because all that happened was I changed my consciousness. From one point, the moment I was ordained, my consciousness decided that I was going to use a different name. So then my name was only a matter of consciousness. Yes? But don't you feel that it is actually something that belongs to you? Don't you feel that it's something that belongs to you? In fact, if someone gets your name wrong, does it not hurt you? Does it not offend you? I remember when I went to the UK many years ago, people there, they struggle with our names. And to make matters worse, I had 60 characters in my full name. They couldn't even fit the thing into forms. Whenever I had to fill a form, it was a nightmare. Because they were only big enough for Johns and Chris and Sams and things like that. Mine was Tennakons and Mudian Sela Gays and all sorts. So there was a time they called me Vanni, because I had a Vanni Nayaka in my name. Because that's all I could fit in it. And then at one point I was called Tenna, because that's all I could fit. There was one point I was called Mudi, because that's all I could fit. But I was hurt. I said, hey, no, wait, that's my name. It's a very important part of me. Very important part of me. Get my name right. That if you can't fit my name in that, then increase the size of the field. The form, right? It's broken, fix it. I have a long name, deal with it. Was that my name? To whom did the name belong? It was only the consciousness. Wasn't it? It was only the consciousness. Right. Now then, if that is true for your name, I'm asking you another question. Are you male or female? I want your body to answer. If your body answers, I'll accept that. Okay? If your body answers this question, I'll accept that. But I'm asking this question from your mind, and I want your mind to answer. No answer can legitimately come out of your mind. To be fair, your mind cannot legitimately give me an answer right now. But is it not giving me an answer right now? Are you male or female? Who's giving me that answer right now? Is it your body or your mind? Who just cooked up that answer? Your mind did, right? What part of your mind is male or female? What part of it? So this answer that you came out with right now, I'm male or I'm female, that's simply in your consciousness. Your consciousness is just a chitta. It arises and it passes away. How long does it last? A fraction of a second. In that chitta, you perceive that you are a male or a female, you have a name. All these things you perceive in that consciousness. See, so your gender, when you answer the question, what is your gender? The answer you give me is simply your consciousness. So is that you then? If that is your consciousness, then who are you? I'll give you another way to think about this. I'm going to name a few parts of your body, and I want you to focus your attention on that part of the body for a second, okay? Your head. Yeah? Just focus your attention on that part of the body, your head. Whose head is it? My head. Your head. Right? Okay? Your neck. So focus your attention on your neck right now. Whose neck is that? Whose neck? Neck. Your left arm. Yeah? Your right arm. Your stomach. Your back. Your left leg. Your right leg. Your left foot. Your right foot. In this manner, I could name all the parts of your body, at least the parts that you can sense. There will be some parts inside of you that you cannot sense. Like if I said, for example, your lungs, you can't conceive them mentally. Or your diaphragm, you can't conceive them. It's just there, but you can't. Your liver, you can't conceive them, right? But these parts that I've just named, you can conceive them. Conceive them as in, you can cognize them. You can perceive them, right? So, whose parts are they? They're all your parts, right? So if we took out all of these parts that are your parts, so your head, your neck, your legs, your arms, your stomach, your whatever it is that is you say is yours, we take all those parts out and we lay them down on a table. Whose parts are these? Once again, your parts. After you've taken out all these parts and laid them down on the table, where's the you? Whose parts they are? Where is that you? I'll ask you the question again. You look a bit confused. Right, we are going to do an autopsy. Okay? Just kidding. So we're going to do an autopsy. What we're going to do is we're going to cut you up into many pieces. I just imagine there's a table out there and we're going to cut you up into many pieces or dismantle you. Cut is a strong word. Let's dismantle you into many pieces and we're going to lay them out on a table. Okay? So let's say we could dismantle you into how many parts, shall we say? 500 parts, just for argument's sake, right? 500 parts. Now there are 500 parts that are whose parts? Whose parts? Your parts. So your parts, 500 of them are now laid down on a table. So every bit of you is now on a table. So with every bit of you being on the table, where's you now? Whose head is it? Whose head is it? Give me an answer. Your head. Okay, so when we take the head out, where's the you whose head it was? Where is that person? Where are they? Where is he? Where is she? So it's your head. Okay, I get it. It's your head. It's not you, is it? Is your head you? Okay. Is your finger you? Take a little finger. Is that you? Is that you or your finger? I'll make it even simpler. Your fingernail. Is that you or your fingernail? How do you know that it's not you? What do you do from time to time with the nail clipper? What do you do? You clip your nails, don't you? So, when you clip your nail, did you just clip you or your fingernail, your overgrown fingernails? Did you clip you or something that belongs to you? Something that belongs to you. Right. What about your hair on your head? Is that you or your hair? I want you all to engage with me now. Right? So it will make sense to you better. The hair on your head, for those of you who are like me, I'm sorry, look at someone else in front of you maybe. Right? Join the club. So for those of you who still have hair, the hair on your head, is that you or is that your hair? Would you say that this is me? Would you touch your hair and say, this is me? Would you say that? No, it's your hair, right? Okay. How do you know? How do you know that it's not you? Because after you've been to the barber's or you've had a haircut, do you feel less you than when you went in? Do you? No, then why do you keep your girlfriend's hair with you? Huh? A strand of hair, a flock of hair, why do you keep that? Think about these things, ladies and gentlemen. Think. Maybe you don't do these sentimental things now, but perhaps, back when you were younger, right? In your youthful times, you might have done such things. A flock of hair, a strand of hair from the one you love, the one you like, the one you're attracted to, you keep it with you and you think that you now have her with you. So now she feels less her. Thankfully, you only took one strand of hair. So is your hair you or is it yours? It's yours, right? It's not you. Okay. So it's fine then for us to remove all the hair because you are still intact, aren't you? This is a hypothetical situation. Please don't be afraid to answer. I'm not going to do any of this. But please answer. I'm not going to do anything to you as long as it's not you that I'm going to do anything to. Okay? Your hair, is it you or your hair? So in other words, is it you or yours? Yours, right? So if I took your hair, if I pulled all your hair out of your head, have I done anything to you? No. You'll say, I'm hairless, but I haven't done anything to you because I've only touched your hair, right? I've not done anything to you. Okay, so I'm going to take all your hair and leave it on the table. All right? Right, okay. Next. Well, let's start with an ear. You have two of them anyway, right? So we can spare one. We can spare one, right? So let's take one of your ears. Is it you or is it yours? Yours. Meaning mine. You're looking at me and saying... Okay, I should have phrased it differently. Is it me or is it mine? Your ear. Is it me or mine? Mine. Okay. So don't you worry. I'm not going to touch you. I'm not going to do anything to you. I just want your ear. Okay? So if I took your ear, have I done anything to you? Have I? Why not? Because you just confirmed that you are not your ear, are you? It's just your ear, not you. It's my ear, not me. Okay, so I'm going to take one of those ears. Fine? I promise you, I'm not going to do anything to you. Promise. Okay, so I take your left ear and I put it on the table. Has any amount of you reduced? You're still fully you, aren't you? Yeah? Okay, then let me take the other ear also then. No harm, right? Nothing happened when I took one ear. So it's fine for me to take the other ear, is it? Isn't it? So I'll take the other ear as well. Right, now you have no ears. Now you have a pair of eyes, don't you? Is your eye me or mine? From your perspective? Mine. Okay. I promised you I'm not going to do anything to you. So can I not take one of your eyes? I'm going to pluck one of your eyes. Is that okay? Yeah? Don't picture this, otherwise you'll run out of the room. Just play along, right? You don't have to... You're not going to have nightmares tonight, are you? Swami Nase coming out and just plucking your eye out. So I'm going to take one of your eyes because it's not you, you said. It's yours. Okay, so we take the eye out. We take the other eye out as well, like following the drill from before. Then I'm going to take your skull because it's not you. It's yours. So I take that out as well. Your head, your neck, you get the drill, right? Your arms, your legs, your stomach, your body, right? All of that. Now I've taken every part that you said was mine but not me. Yeah? So I've taken every part that's not you because you don't need it. It's not, you don't need it for your survival because it's not you, it's yours. So I've taken all of those parts and laid it out on the table. Fair enough? How many parts do we have here now? 500 parts. Okay? Now where are you? I didn't do anything to you. I only took what was yours. I didn't take you. So where are you? Where are you then? There's one thing I didn't talk about. Because I only took the 500 parts that are physical. Yeah? So, if when I take each of these 500 parts and lay it out on a table, you don't feel any less you, then you are not in any of those parts. Strong evidence of this are, say, people who are amputated. Say, soldiers sometimes, or people who have, say, they'll go through some medical procedure and they have a part of them amputated. They don't feel any less themselves because the doctor didn't remove any part of them. They only took out something that was theirs. Nothing of you is taken, only yours is taken. That should convince us then that no part of your physical form is home or is what? Me. Agreed? No part of your physical form is me. We removed your hair, nothing happened. Removed your eyes, nothing happened. Chopped off a limb, nothing happened. What about when you have a transplant? So there are various kinds of transplants people can do these days. They have heart transplants. What else do they have? Liver, kidney, what else? Brain? Not yet. So you can transplant a number of different organs, tissue, skin transplant. Yes, they can do that, right? I'm behind the curve sometimes in terms of my medical knowledge these days, but so you can transplant many of these things. Now, just imagine if the person was in the organ. So when you get a transplant, that would be a very scary thought, wouldn't it? I mean, if you were in a part of your body, let's say the lung or a liver or a kidney, when we transplant your kidney to someone else, you're still alive, right? Let's say you got 2 kidneys, right? You can spare one. And say someone in the family needs a transplant. And you being the good Samaritan, you step forward and say, right, you can take my kidney. I'm happy to donate mine. So then they take your kidney and they transplant it to the patient. And now they are out of hospital. Just imagine if they started to feel like you. Not feel like you. They feel that they are you. So why is a medical transplant even possible? How is it possible? How come transplants are possible? Is it not because you are not in any part of your body? Yes, you are not in any part of your body. Then where are you? In Rajagiriya Swaminatha. That's not what I mean. Where are you? Is my question. You're in the mind. Of course, you have to be in the mind. What is the mind after all? Consciousness. It is a consciousness. It arises and it passes away. This is a representation of a consciousness. So if it's not in a part of your body and it's in the mind, then this whole sense of identity that you have, that you are basically you is in your consciousness. Your name is part of your consciousness. It is not an intrinsic part of you. It's merely in a consciousness. When that consciousness is there, you are that. When your consciousness isn't there, you are no longer that. You're something else. Aren't you? So when you're seeing something, you're seeing, that's what you are. That's it. When you're seeing something, what are you? I don't know if you get the context or the sense in which I'm actually asking you this question. Try and understand what I'm trying to get across to you here. Hold on. I'm talking about you. Okay? This is you. This is you. Okay? When you are seeing, what are you? Don't say I'm a man or a woman. You're a subject. So try and think for yourselves. So now I'm going to ask you a series of questions. These are rhetorical questions because I want you to think. I want you to answer in your own mind. So everyone think, okay? Think out silently, not think out loud. Because it's when you think these truths become true to you. I can give you all the answers. Then this will be a very short sermon. We can finish this in half an hour. I can give you all the answers and say thank you for coming. See you next week. But they won't stick with you. For these answers to come true for you, they have to come from within you. So I'll ask the question. I want you to answer. I'm talking about you for a second. Okay? When you are seeing, what are you? Now don't say I'm a male. Because you're only a male when you are conscious of the fact that you are a male. I mean, do you always go around thinking you're a male? Or do you have nothing better to do? You spend the day thinking, I'm male, I'm male, I'm male, I'm male, I'm male. Is that what you do? Or you keep thinking, I'm a female. Is that what you do all day? When you're eating, do you think, I am male? No, when you're eating, aren't you? So then you can't tell me that you are male or female because you are only male. Your body can, of course, always answer this question. If I asked your body right now, you would always give me that answer. I'm asking the mind right now. I'm asking the mind, what are you when you are seeing? Then you can't tell me you are male because the mind is neither male nor female. For the mind to answer, I am male, the mind has to first consider the body for a second and then come up with an answer. Until it does that, it is neither male nor female. Now, did that make sense? Give me a nod either this way or that way. Please be honest, either this way or that way. Just give me an answer. So I can just read the room for a second. Okay. So I have a few of these and a few of these. And a few like this diagonally. In and amongst them, there are a few of these as well. So that's also a yes, I imagine. My question is this. Do you spend your entire day thinking of your name? I mean, are you like this self-obsessed narcissist? Just thinking about your name all day? Do you? No. Only when someone asks you your name comes to mind, doesn't it? Or when you have to introduce yourself or fill in a form or something like that. I mean, you don't spend your day thinking, I am this person. I am your name. You don't do that, right? Meaning your name is not always with you. You have to conceive it. You have to perceive it. It has to come to your consciousness. So your name only lives in your consciousness. So if that is true about your name, I'm asking you, are you male or female? Now an answer came to your mind. Yes, a response came to your mind right now. It's only during that time, are you male or female consciously? Because I'm asking this question of your mind, not of your body. Your body can always say that it is male or female. You know, it's written all over you. But that's only your body. If I ask the mind what you are, it has to first perceive. Meaning the mind has to remember. Hold on a second, I've just been asked what my gender is. What gender am I? Although you don't notice, the mind's actually doing that. It quickly has to pay a visit to the memory, run an errand to the memory, and then pull information out of it. And then that information it reads out. See, you're neither male or female, ladies and gentlemen. You're just reading a piece of data retrieved from your memory. What if unbeknown to you, we change that data? Just imagine if I could engineer your memory. In your sleep, I come and take out your chip, reprogram it, and put it in there. You wake up in the morning and I come and ask you, sir, what are you? Female. Do you know that it was entirely possible to do that? It is. All I have to do is change a part of your memory. In other words, you're neither male nor female, ladies and gentlemen. You're simply reading a piece of information that you have retrieved from your memory. Although, I know you might struggle to actually agree with what I'm saying right now, because there's a part of you that thinks, no, Swami Nuhansa, I am male. See, I have the answer in what you just said. Why is it when I ask you, are you male, you have to say, see? What's seeing got to do with being male? When I ask you, are you male, you need evidence. Meaning, you are not that. You have to get information from the outside world and then present it. Meaning, you are not that. When you say, are you male? What gender are you? You go, see? I'm male. Why are you saying, see, I am male? What are you doing there? You're using your eyes to take information from the outside world. Do you take information through the eyes of the inside world? Do you use your eyes to take information about the inside world? No, you use your eyes to take information about what? The outside world. So when you say, see, I'm a male, where are you taking information from? The outside world. So then, outside in relation to what? In relation to the mind, you see what is on the outside. So when you say, see, I am male, what are you actually implying? Whatever is male is outside, not inside. Meaning, you are neither male nor female. You're simply reading a piece of data that you have just retrieved from memory. Right, in which case, when I ask you, when you're seeing something, what are you? Yes? Seeing, exactly. That is the answer. When you're seeing something, ladies and gentlemen, you are seeing. That's it. Don't tell me, I'm a man and I am seeing. No. That's another question. You are not a man who is seeing. When you are seeing, you're simply seeing. If your name was John, you're not John who's seeing. You're just seeing. Because seeing is what's happening right now. When you're seeing, you're seeing. That's it. If you wanted to think that you were John, that is a different process. An additional mental chitta process has to run in your mind for you to perceive that you are John. Because when you're seeing, you're simply seeing. Your consciousness is simply the effect of a process. As a sight object is placed in front of your mind, a chitta or a consciousness is born. Because it's a sight object, ladies and gentlemen, this consciousness is born to see. That's it. So it sees. It sees. That's all it does, it sees. If it's a sound, what are you doing right now? Not what are you doing right now, actually. What are you right now? What are you right now? Hearing. You're hearing. I don't mean as a verb. Because you think like seeing and hearing, these are verbs, right? So these are doing things. So I'm here and I'm hearing. That's not what I mean. It's not that I am here and I am hearing. I am here, I am seeing. That's not what I mean. You are entirely seeing. Seeing is you. Hearing is you. Because that's all you are. A chitta, a consciousness. When you are conscious of a sight, that's what you are. A sight consciousness. As the Buddha puts it so lovely. So wonderfully. Chakkuncha paticca rupecha uppajjati chakku viññānam. When sight comes into contact with the eye, seeing consciousness is born. That's it. When seeing is happening, seeing is happening. You're seeing. It's in fact wrong to say that you are seeing, because that gives the impression that there's a you and I is a verb and seeing is the action. Like I am seeing. It's like I am speaking right now. So when I say I'm speaking, what's the impression that you get? Swaminathan is here, he's doing something, and what he's doing is speaking, right? That's not what I mean. Just imagine there was no me here for you to see. Speaking was the only thing that happened. No speaker, just the speaking. Imagine that for a second. No speaker, not these speakers. No speaker, just a speaking. Okay? So then if I asked you what's going on, what would you say? A speaker is speaking? Would you say a speaker is speaking? Or a Swaminathan is speaking? Would you say that? Would you say that? No, you wouldn't say that, would you? You'd simply say, what's going on? Speaking. Speaking. But when you're looking at me right now, don't you sense that there's a you who's looking? So you are being, you are being, and in addition to that, you are also seeing. That's how you feel, right? Nothing could be further from the truth. You are not being and seeing at the same time, ladies and gentlemen. When you are being, you are being. When you are seeing, you are seeing. When you are seeing, you are seeing. It's not you are seeing. Seeing, that's it. So much so that it is wrong to say that a chitta is seeing. Because again, it gives the impression that there's a chitta that does something and then once in a while it decides to see. That's not how it works. This is heavy, isn't it? But this is what you need to understand. When you understand these truths, you will realize that there is nothing for you to do. The crux of Buddhism is to understand that you are useless. How wrong that sounds. I'm surprised you're still listening to me and you haven't kicked me out yet. You come in on a Sunday morning to be insulted like this? Don't stand for this. Swaminathan comes here and he says that I am useless. You should be asking me, who do you think I am, Swaminathan? Useless? Ask my friends, ask my family, ask my colleagues. I'm a very important person. You come here and you insult me saying that I'm useless? For as long as you think that you are useful, you will be in samsara. Simple as that. I need you to understand the profoundness of that statement. I have no other way of getting this message across to you besides using words which fail me every single time. Because words were not invented to talk to you about something that is out of this world. Words were invented to talk to you about something that is worldly. And I'm here to try and explain to you something, a truth that is out of this world. Because I have to show you something out of this world so you leave this world to go get it. If I keep on talking about something it's in this world, why would you leave this world? You'll always be here. In these 31 realms of existence, you will be. But alas, all I have are words. But that's not to say it's impossible. I have understood something that my teacher has taught me using the same words that I'm trying to use to explain to you. All you need is to pay attention, some merits, a bit of wisdom, attention. These are the things that you need. Let me try one more time. One more time for today. Right, let's try one more time. Are you all awake and alert? Yeah, you want to take a drink of water? Now just to freshen yourself up if you need it. This is not rocket science, ladies and gentlemen, I promise you that. Okay? I'm not some extraordinary human being who has an incredibly high IQ or anything like that. I'm a very normal, average human being, I promise you. But I have the ability to understand these concepts. That I gained from giving. Like I explained to you a couple of weeks ago. When you give wisdom, you get wisdom. If you don't have wisdom to give, then give to those who give wisdom. And then you get wisdom. Once you have wisdom, you can understand what I'm trying to explain to you. I am going to assume that we all have that wisdom. Because it would be unfair to think that you don't. Otherwise you wouldn't be coming here every week. You can't just come here and just sit here looking at me, staring at me in the face and not understand a word and go away. You wouldn't come the second week. You're not here for the sandwiches, right? So you're here because some, if not all of this makes sense to you. I know. But what I'm trying to get across to you today is a little bit of a new concept. That's why it's not making sense to you maybe the first run. But once we go over it a few times, it will. I promise you. And if I have to speak until my throat goes bloody, I will. Until you get this, you have to make an effort. That's all I ask of you. So pay attention and imagine that it's just you and I in this room right now. No one else. I'm talking to you. Okay? Right. Here's the deal. I'm talking about your consciousness. Consciousness is your faculty to perceive. You know you're alive thanks to your consciousness. You know you're alive because one of these 6 things are happening inside you right now. Either you're seeing, you're hearing, you're smelling, you're tasting, you're feeling, or you're thinking. When I say thinking, of course you might think, well, aren't these also thinking? I'm thinking about things outside of these. So planning things in the future, thinking about something of the past. Okay? That's thinking, thought objects. When one of these 6 things are happening inside you, you are convinced that you are what? Alive. You're alive. So thanks to consciousness, you know you're alive. In other words, alive equals consciousness. Not physical alive, I'm talking about mentally alive. Because you have no point in being physically alive. What's the point? Just imagine your mind was dead. Shall we keep your body on a machine for the next 100 years? Are you happy? Your mind is dead. You can't see anything, smell anything, taste anything, feel anything, think anything. But we connect your body to a machine and keep it running for the next 100 years. Who wants that? Who cares about that? Anyone? There you go. So the only thing that matters to you is not your physical life, so to speak, but rather your being mentally alive, right? So to be mentally alive is to be, what's the word? Conscious. Are we all okay with that? All clear? Perfect. Your mental consciousness is one of these 6 things. This consciousness arises when seeing happens. In other words, if we switched off sight, sound, smell, taste and touch, you would no longer be conscious. Because to be conscious is to be conscious of sight, conscious of sound, conscious of smell, taste and touch. Okay? So it's one of these things, and being cognizant of that, perceiving that is what consciousness is. Does that make sense so far? All good? Perfect. So when you are seeing, when seeing is happening, what is happening? Seeing. When the activity or process of seeing, when the activity of seeing is happening, what are you? What are you? Seeing. You are seeing. When the activity of hearing is happening, what are you? Hearing. Is that clear? Okay. Now the last thing I need to clarify, when I ask you, when the activity of seeing is happening, what are you? Immediately you have this notion in your mind that what Swami Nivas is asking me is this. See, I'm here. I'm here. When I'm seeing something, what am I doing? That's what you think Swami Nivas is asking you right now. But that's not what Swami Nivas is asking you. Once again, immediately your mind will tell you that what Swami Nivas is asking you right now is, what are you when you are seeing? When I ask you that question, what are you when you are seeing? What comes to your mind is, okay, I'm here. Who's here? I'm here. So until you see, what are you? Being. Yeah? Being. So I'm being. Being. Yeah? I'm being. And then sight happens. Now, this being is seeing. Did you get that? Good. That's what you think is happening. But that's not what's happening. That's not what's going on. But that is what you think is going on. That's why you're always talking about, I am seeing. So I am being, and then I start to see, and then the being is seeing. Yeah? The being is seeing. And then you say, well, the object got taken away. I went blind. So I'm again being now. Until someone puts a sound outside of my ear. Then what is the being doing now? You're being, and then all of a sudden you seeing. So the being is seeing. That's how you think. That's how you feel, in fact. You feel the being is now seeing. Or rather, hearing. I'm confusing myself here. So the being is hearing. And then let's just say you went blind, you went deaf, so now these two faculties don't work. But someone brings a flower and puts in front of your nose. Until they bring the flower to you, what are you? Being. Yeah, exactly. Until they put the flower by your nose, what are you? Being. Don't apply the Dhamma right now, okay? Let me do that. So wait, I want you to answer the way you actually feel. Because I can't make arahants out of arahants. So you got to be who you actually are, and then I can help you become an arahant. So don't pretend to be arahants. Okay? So what do I mean by that? Whatever you perceive, just let me know what it is. Give me the truth. Give me as it is. Don't make up the truth because now you know the Dhamma. In fact, sometimes when I ask you the question, it implies a particular answer. Then you give me that answer. Don't give me that answer. Just tell me whatever comes to you naturally. Because I can't make an artificial arahant. That's pointless. I want to make a natural arahant. Okay? Right. So now the flower is about 3 yards away from you. You can't smell the fragrance. What are you right now? Being. Okay. So we bring the flower close to your ear, close to your nose, and then we bring it to close proximity of your nose, and all of a sudden, what's happening? Smelling. Who's smelling? The being that is now smelling. See, that's what you perceive, ladies and gentlemen. Don't you perceive that actually? Don't you honestly perceive that? That I am always being, and then from time to time, see, that's who you refer to as I. This being. I see. I'm seeing. So the being is now seeing. And then when something comes to your ear, you say, the being is now hearing. And when something touches your tongue, then what do you say? The being is now tasting. This being is what you use this first person pronoun as I. When you want to express this feeling, this perception of being, you use this word I am. I am. That's why you say, I am seeing. That's wrong. That is wrong. Believe me or not, that is wrong. You are in samsara because you think that you are seeing. Simple as that. Look at me right now for a second. What a wonderful sight, right? When I ask you to look at me, and then I ask you, what are you doing? Give it to me in a full sentence. In a full sentence, I am seeing, or I am looking at you. Half of that is utter nonsense. Half of that sentence is utter nonsense. Rubbish. It is a complete and utter lie. Half of it is a complete and utter lie, I tell you. You just said, I am seeing. Wrong. Only one part of that sentence is true. What is it? Seeing. You are not a being who is seeing. Seeing. This was the discourse given to Daruchirya, who was the foremost among understanding the Dhamma promptly. He was only given that discourse. Daruchirya was the foremost among the elders, the 80 elders of the Buddha's era, in the Buddha's time. He was the foremost among the monks who understood the Dhamma promptly. This is what the Buddha said. Daruchirya, ditte ditta matta, sute sutta matta, mute mutta matta, viññate viññata matta. That's it. And he's become an arahant. Just like you did. Yes? So thank you all for coming to the sermon. Now that you are arahants, You need not come again. This was a sermon given by the Buddha to those whose wisdom was just waiting to ripen. Like a flower just on the verge of blossoming. All it needed was a ray of sunlight. Just a ray of light. And what the Buddha did was just shine that ray of light on that flower that was just waiting to blossom. And the moment the Buddha uttered those words, it blossoms. And the Arahant is born. He doesn't become an Arahant just like that. He goes to Sotapanna, Sakrodagami, Anagami, Arahant. Just in the course of that discourse. Can you imagine that? See, that is what merits can do. Why do you think I'm inviting you to the Kathina? This is what merits can do, ladies and gentlemen. When you give for the purpose of wisdom, this is what merits can do. This is what the Buddha said. Ditte ditta mattang. See, ditta is seeing. Ditta mattang. Mattang is only. That's all. That's what mattang is. That's all. That's it. What is mattang? That's it. So, what does ditte ditta mattang mean? Seeing, that's it. So when the Buddha says that's it, what does he imply is not then? I am seeing. That's not. There's no being who is seeing. Seeing, that's it. Dharacharya, seeing, that's it. Because until the Buddha gave this discourse, what did Dharacharya think? I am seeing. And the Buddha says, no. Seeing. Because consciousness does only one job at one time. See. So when you're hearing, what are you? Hearing. When I say, what are you? What do I mean that by what are you? Again, I don't mean there's a you and what are you doing right now. That's not what I mean. What is your composition is what I mean. Totality. In total, what are you? The entirety of you is just seeing. All of it is just seeing. There is no you who is seeing. That is why the Buddha said, Sute. What is sutta? To hear. Sute sutamatta. Dharacharya, there is no you who is hearing. Hearing. Ditte dittamattang, sute sutamattang, mute mutamattang. So mutta is to feel. There are three sensations which come in this category. There is smell, taste and touch. This is mutta. Smell, taste and touch. So Dharacharya, until he listens to Dhamma, he thinks that I am smelling, I am tasting, and I am feeling. And the Buddha says, no Dharacharya. Mutta. Mute. Mutamatta. That's it. Dharacharya, there's no you who's smelling. There's no being who then goes on to taste. Because it's a consciousness. A consciousness is to conceive. What do you conceive? The object. That's it. So if the object is taste, what does that chitta do? Perceive that object. That's it. So where's the being to taste? Or the being to smell? Or the being to touch? None of that. These are all creations of the mind when the mind goes insane. You don't know what I'm talking about because you're not insane, are you? Or are you? Okay, what are you right now? In a full sentence? Just seeing? Or do you not feel I am seeing? Don't you feel that you are seeing? Yes, you feel that. Okay, who's going home today? After this sermon, what are you going to do? In a full sentence. In a full sentence. Don't just say going home. What are you going to do? What are you planning on doing after the sermon? I am going home. Rubbish. No such thing is going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. No such thing is going to happen. I can promise you that you are not going home today. Just imagine if someone was asleep all that time and just woke up. So if you're sleeping in the sermon, sleep throughout the sermon. Don't wake up in the middle. I'm just jesting. Okay, no one's asleep. You're a good audience. If you weren't a good audience, I wouldn't be saying any of this. Then I come and say Jataka and go away. You're a good audience. You're a fabulous audience, in fact. This is why this profound Dhamma comes out. If I didn't have any hope that none of you in this room could understand what I'm saying, I wouldn't just come and blabber on. I know that you understand. At least 1%, all of you will understand at least 1%. 1% might understand 99%. Maybe 90%, maybe 80%. Perhaps there's one or two among you who have understood 100% of what I've just explained. But I know all of you will understand at least 1%. So there's no one here that just cannot understand, full stop. That I don't believe. Otherwise you wouldn't be coming a second, the third, the fourth, the fifth week. It wouldn't happen like that. So, none of you are going home tonight. Yes or no? Right, I'm going to ask you a question now, okay? We have the management of the college here. They're waiting until you leave so that they can lock up and go home. All right? So I'm going to ask you a question now. Who here is going home tonight after the sermon? Put your hands up. None of them are going. So you'll have to give them accommodation today. So none of you are going home today? So you're staying then, are you? So if you're not going home, you're staying, are you? You're all staying? Huh? You're staying. You are staying. Then, are you going? You are going. You are staying. What? Make your mind up. You are doing neither then. So what are you? Useless. There is nothing that you do. There is nothing that you do. Because if ditte matang, see, ditte happens whether you like it or not. Your presence is not required for ditte to happen. Ditte is seeing. Seeing happens when an object is put in front of the eye. A sight consciousness is born. Doesn't need your help. No help required. No assistance required. Your help is not required. So for the process of seeing, what is your task? What is your contribution? For the process of seeing, what is your contribution? Zero. None, right? So you're useless for the process of seeing. Okay. Hearing? Sute sutta matta. For the process of hearing, what is your contribution? None. Useful or useless? Useless. Then for the process of tasting, smelling and touching, what is your contribution? What is it? None. So you're useless. And then finally the Buddha says, Viññāte viññāta mattang. Viññāta is to think. Ditta sutta mutta viññāta. You might wonder why there are only 4. It's because muta includes smell, taste and touch. So ditta is to see, sutta is to hear, muta is smell, taste, touch, and then finally viññāta is to think. So viññāte viññātamattang. So then who thinks? Who is it that thinks? Who is it that thinks? Do you have an answer to that question? No, because there is no one that thinks. Thinking happens. How does thinking happen? When a thought object comes into contact with the mind, consciousness is born. A thought consciousness. So you have sight consciousness, sound consciousness, smell, taste, touch consciousness, and you have thought consciousness. Consciousness is what you are. So who's the thinker? There's no thinker. Who's the seer? No seer. Who's the listener? No listener. Who's the smeller? Taster? Toucher? None of these exist. The truth is, none of these exist. But until you become an arahant, all of you in this room will sense that there is someone who's doing all these things. That, ladies and gentlemen, is your sense of self. It is a fabrication of the consciousness itself. Your mind cooks it up. Your mind is a wizard. It conjures up a sense of self. That sense of self is so vulnerable. I'll tell you how vulnerable they are. Listen to this. They have preferences. Meaning, there are things that they like to see and things they don't like to see. Pemato jayati soko, pemato jayati bhayam. Tanhaya jayati soko, tanhaya jayati bhayam. Piyato jayati soko, piyato jayati bhayam. This is what the Buddha says. This is the truth, not because it's what the Buddha says. It is the truth. When there is one in your mind, when attachment is there in your mind, when preference is there in your mind, when affection, liking, disliking, when these things are in your mind, you have shoka and bhaya. That's why they say, tanhaya jayati soko, tanhaya jayati bhayam. Pemato jayati soko, pemato jayati bhayam. You know what prema is, right? To have a liking for something. So who is this that likes? Who is it that has this affection? Who is it that has these preferences? Who is this being that likes to see or doesn't like to see? There is no such being. But when the mind thinks, because of ignorance, that there is someone here that has to see, seeing itself is not enough. There has to be a doer. There has to be an actor. There has to be an actor who sees. When the mind takes on this wrong information, we call that avidya, ignorance. So when the mind thinks that that is true, now the mind has to cook it up. It has to fabricate it. It has to conjure it up. It has to create it. Using whatever wizardry it knows, the mind has to create a sense of identity, a sense of self that never existed in the first place. It is never meant to exist either. But what is the problem when it does? Now you have bhaya and shoka. That's why you have fear and grief in your lives. That's why you're scared that you might lose sight. Either the ability to see because of losing your eyesight, or the object. See, eye consciousness was never born with a preference. See if there's a little bit more room in your mind to take that on as well today before you go home. One last thing. Your consciousness was never born with a preference, ladies and gentlemen. Never born with a preference. I'll ask you this question. Can you demand who your parents are? Can you demand who your parents were? I mean, can you? Why not? Because it's too late. Isn't it? What do you mean by that? Why is it too late? Because to demand, you have to first be born. And once you're born, now you can't change. It's funny though, because you laugh at this. Back in 2019 or back in 2020, there was a man who, I think he lives in India. I don't know whether he's still alive. But he sued his parents. It was a story back then. He sued his parents, you know for what? What do you think? For giving birth to him. I mean, the cheeky bugger. Does he not realize that he's able to sue them because he was born? What do you think? He's able to sue his parents because he was born, right? Yeah? So what his complaint is, why did you bring me into a world in which I have to fend for myself, I have to go to school, I have to make a living, I have to earn money, I have to work hard, I have to suffer, I have to be miserable, I am disappointed, I never chose this, I never asked for it, why did you give me birth? That was his complaint. I'm not making this up, it was on the BBC. Go home and look it up, the man who sued his parents for giving him birth. It's a real story. Now, I'm just drawing an analogy. Can a child be ever disappointed about the fact that parents gave birth to it? Can a child ever be disappointed about? I mean, does it make sense? Is that legitimate? Because how can they be disappointed if they weren't born in the first place? The very fact that they are able to be disappointed is because they were born, right? Yeah? So they today have the liberty to be disappointed because they were born. So what right do they have to be disappointed about the fact that they were given birth? In the same manner, consciousness never sues or has a problem about the sight or the eye that came together to give rise to it. Because consciousness is the child of the two parents. The two parents being sight and eye, sound and ear, smell and nose. That's a little poem. Come on, sing along. Taste and tongue, touch and body. If you want, you can add thought and mind. See, this is the mother and father. They come together and they give birth to a child. And this is the offspring. Consciousness is the offspring. If a chitta is born, because this object comes into contact with your eye, there is only one thing that consciousness is supposed to do, isn't it? What is that? To perceive this. Because it is this that gave birth to it. Think about it. I'm going to make a sound. I'm going to clap my hands in a moment. And you're going to hear it. You are going to hear it because I clap my hands. Aren't you? So who gives you the right to complain about the fact that I clapped so that a chitta was born to hear that clap? You heard that, right? What was that chitta born for? To hear that clap, because it is the clap that gave rise to the chitta. It is the mother of that chitta. So that chitta was born, that consciousness was born to perceive the clap. Isn't it? That consciousness was born to perceive the clap. So can you tell me then that consciousness can have a preference? Do you think that consciousness, once born upon hearing the clap, can then come and say, I don't want to hear a clap. I want to hear a whistle. Do you think a chitta would ever, having born out of a clap, come and complain about a clap and say, actually, you know what, I'd much rather hear a whistle? Makes no sense, right? Then, what if there is actually a chitta that is born out of a clap and then complains about the clap and says, I'd much rather listen to a whistle? Something else is going on inside, isn't it? Yes? Something else is going on. Something is corrupting it. Something is corrupting it. What is that corruption? That corruption is jati. That is your sense of self. It is born not out of the clap. Please remember that. It is not born out of the clap, because the clap, which is a sound, and the ear come together to give rise to an offspring whose sole purpose it is to perceive the clap that it was born to perceive. That is the sole purpose. But like an aircraft that takes off at an airport, but then gets hijacked, and instead of landing where it's supposed to land, goes and flies into the Twin Towers, it did not take off for that purpose, but it got corrupted. It got hijacked. You see the analogy? In the same manner, ladies and gentlemen, something that was so innocent took off at this airport, supposed to land at that airport. But if it goes and crashes into something else, that means something else happened in between. Something that was not supposed to happen, happened. And that happened mid-flight. Yes, that happened mid-flight. The same thing happens with you. Sound and ear come together to give rise to a consciousness whose sole purpose of being born is to perceive the clap which brought it to life. It does not have a preference and it does not ask for anything else. But something happens mid-flight. It gets hijacked. Because it is born into an environment where there is ignorance. Wherever there is ignorance, there is attachment. Wherever there is attachment, there is the dependent origination process which executes. As a result of that, mid-flight, jati is created. This is what the Buddha calls dukkha. In the Four Noble Truths, that's the first noble truth that he refers to. Now you tell me, when he says the first noble truth of suffering, Do you really think that that suffering is, he's talking about the death of a parent is something, losing your loved ones and so on? I'm talking about something completely on another dimension, aren't I? This is something that wisdom perceives. Whereas the loss of a loved one and the feeling of grief and remorse that you get out of that, everyone feels that. That's not food for wisdom. That's food for feeling. The Buddha did not come into the world to teach about how we all feel sad. He talks about the origin of sadness. That is not to be felt, it's to be understood, realized. See how pure Buddhism, real philosophy of Buddhism, can sometimes be worlds apart from what people make out to be Buddhism, or from people make Buddhism out to be. That's when people say, aren't all religions the same? Yes, all religions may be the same. This is not a religion. I'm not sharing with you a religion, I'm sharing with you a philosophy. This is a science, the science of the mind. It's not a religion. What is ceremonial about what I just explained to you? There are people of many faiths in this room because we always welcome people with open arms. We don't discriminate here. Whether you're man or woman, whether you're Buddhist or non-Buddhist, it matters not to us. Is there anyone in this room who can put their hand up and say, Swami Nuansa, what you just explained to me does not apply to me because I'm a Christian? Is there anyone in this room who can put their hand up and say, Swami Nuansa, I'm a Muslim, therefore this does not apply to me? Anyone? This is religion agnostic because it is not a religion. This is the science of the mind. It's a philosophy. That's why I always say, I'm a scientist in a robe, not a Buddhist monk in a robe. Because of ignorance, your mind creates a hijacker. It hijacks mid-flight. And then, what was supposed to be born to perceive the clap and pass away innocently and not do anything else, takes off, ignorance takes over, attachment takes over, the dependent origination process takes over, it creates a sense of identity inside of this, and now that thing that's inside here, the self that's inside here, the entity that's inside here has a preference. Now it's no longer happy about simply hearing the clap. It says, I don't like that clap. I like to whistle. So it passes away unhappy. That's why you are unhappy sometimes. That's why you're unhappy. Something else can also happen. It is born, has no preference, but because of ignorance and attachment, dependent origination process executes here, and the sense of self is born, and it has a preference. Its preference is the clap. You think now it can get out unscathed? No. Now the last thing it wants is for it to pass away, because it wants the clap. And the clap is an experience that will only be there until the chitta is alive. But this chitta is about to pass away. So what comes with that? Fear and grief. Whenever you have a preference, there is no respite for you. That's why the things that you like in your life are the things that make your life unlivable. If you are a man of many likes, a man of many desires, a man of many wants, you are a very unhappy man. That is not because you are a Buddhist or a non-Buddhist. It is because that's how minds work. So the only way to be actually happy is to be someone who has little or no desires, wants, preferences, likes. Because then, clap, Chitta is born, passes away. No preference, it just experiences what was presented. A couple of weeks ago we talked about the present moment, remember? And I explained to you, it's nothing to do with time, if you recall. Present moments has nothing to do with temporal presence. People think present means now on the timeline. No. What is presented, that is the moment. What is presented is the moment when it is presented. So in this moment, what you have is what is presented in this moment. If you understand that, then you understand that this moment is merely a manifestation. Is merely a manifestation of the causes that are present. Not present, present. Like when you mark register, present, absent, present, that sound of present, not present, no, not that present, not temporal present. Then you can think like spatial presence, present. See? We are completely rewiring your brains, aren't we? That's why they say we are brainwashing people. Some say. Some. This is not brainwashing, ladies and gentlemen. This is just telling you the truth that you never heard before. That's all. Once you understand these truths, you will not be hijacked. Then, when you hear that, you hear that. Sute, sutamatta. When you see that, you see that. Ditte, dittamatta. That's it. No preference, no likes, no dislikes, no desires. Where there is no desire, there is no aversion. Where there is no desire or aversion, there is no comparison, which is rooted in delusion. The reason that you're always comparing in your mind what you have and what other people have, what you don't have and what others don't have, what you used to have, what you can have in the future, you're not always comparing yourself with other people. You're even comparing yourself with your present, your past and your future. If you're due to win the lottery tomorrow, what are you today? You're due to win the lottery tomorrow. Tomorrow you'll be happy. What are you today? In one word. Did you understand the question? You're due to win the lottery, the jackpot, tomorrow. Okay? So tomorrow you'll be happy, won't you? Yeah, so what are you today then? Huh? Unhappy, of course. Are you comparing yourself with someone else? Then? Yourself from your future. The truth is, that is not you. How can you be happy when you have a future? Checkmate, ladies and gentlemen, checkmate. If you have a future, you cannot be happy. If you have a past, you cannot be happy. Put your hand up, those who don't have a past and those who don't have a future. Means you can't have any dreams of the future. Your happiness is time-bound. You're on a string. That's why you can't live in the present moment. Your mind is always wandering into the future. What will happen tomorrow? Because of what is going to happen tomorrow, you live in either fear or disappointment, whatever. See, tomorrow you're going to win the lottery. Come on, be happy for heaven's sake. Not your neighbor. You are going to win the lottery tomorrow. Why can't you be happy? Just think about it for a second. Think about it for a second. Who's going to win the lottery tomorrow? I promise you, you're all going to win the lottery tomorrow. I'm going to jinx it and you're all going to win the lottery tomorrow. I'm going to go rig it. Right? So you're all going to win it, I guarantee. Be happy today. Can you? You can't. Why can't you be happy today? Because in this moment, your chitta wants what is going to happen tomorrow. See, your chitta today is jealous of your tomorrow. How ugly. Let alone being happy for someone else. Let alone being happy for someone else. You can't even be happy for yourself. Because you don't like what's going to happen to you tomorrow. You want that to happen when? Today. How can you not be jealous of someone else when you can't not be jealous of yourself, ladies and gentlemen? That's why I say, checkmate. Checkmate. There is no escape. You can't intentionally stop any of this from happening. Because it is not you who is being. Being is the effect of causes. It's a product of causes. For as long as ignorance and attachment are there, this will happen. You can't stop that. Try and stop being. Come on then. Stop being. Come on then. Stop being. Now that you understand this being is the whole, it's the whole, this is the problem with everything. Stop being then. Can you? No, because it is not you who does it. So even when it comes to being, what are you? Useless. So when it comes to seeing, you're useless. When it comes to hearing, you're useless. When it comes to smelling, tasting and touching, you're useless. When it comes to thinking, you're useless. Even when it comes to being, you're useless. What are you? I'm glad you said it. So today when you get back home, walk up to your loved ones and say, honey, I realized something. You are right. When your wife will greet you at home today, and she's always complaining, right? What does she say? At home, you are what? You're useless at home. Husbands, don't your wives always complain? You are useless at home. You don't even wash the dishes. You don't change the kids' nappies. You don't run the errands. You don't do the shopping. You don't clean the house. You are useless. I shouldn't have married you. I should have listened to what my parents said. So today when you get back home, you go up to your wife. This is one way to bring her to the sermon next week. He said, my dear wife, Swami Wahanse confirmed what you have been telling me all this while. He agrees with you. She'll ask, what? He said, that I am useless. You are right all along. I'm useless. Then your wife will say, see, the Swami Wahanse is right. He must be a good Swami Wahanse. When's that sermon again? And you bring them in for the sermon. And then I'll convince them as well, what? That you were right. Then the two of you can live happy, useless lives hereafter. Oh boy. It's not a laughing matter though. This is the truth. It must shock you to the core, ladies and gentlemen. It must shock you to the core. that you create your own misery. You create your own fears. You create your own suffering. You create your own sorrows. You create your own grief, jealousy. All of this is made within you. How can you be happy? How could you be happy? Konu haso kimanando. Nicham pajjalite sati. Andhakarena onaddaha. Padipam na gavesata. Padipam na gavesata. What are you laughing about? Konu haso kimanando. What are you smiling about? What are you so joyful about? It's not me asking. Who's asking? The Lord? Buddha. Konu haso kimanando. What is Ananda? Ananda is the name of the chief disciple, but Ananda itself means happiness. Konu haso kimanando. What are you laughing about? What are you happy about? When you're in the darkness, when your lamp is not lit, what are you laughing about? What are you happy about? Padipang na gavesata. What is padipa? A lamp, light. Gavesata, to find, to search, to look for, to explore, to discover. What are you doing without going after the light when you yourself are the creator of your own suffering? This is why time and time again, ladies and gentlemen, I say, long live the Sambuddha Sasana. It is our only hope. This is not because the Buddha preached it. It is because it is the truth. I give credit to the truth. Because it is the truth, the Buddha gets credit. If you ask me, that is my version of events. I give credit, my veneration is to, my reverence is to the truth. Because the Buddha preached it, he discovered it, he qualifies to receive the same veneration. Just imagine if the Buddha had come along and preached what Einstein did or Sir Isaac Newton did. Do you think I'd get on my knees in front of him? That's the thing. I get down on my knees in front of him because it is he who showed me the light. Through my teacher's voice, he showed me the light. He is the light. He is the way. He is the truth. And he is the light. So I invite all of you. Come. Come and experience the Sambuddha Sasana. Come as close as you can to the light. If you can come closer, come closer. If that is only as far as you can come, then so be it. But if you can come another yard, don't stay where you are. Come forward. Because today you may be able to come forward 1 yard. Tomorrow things might change. Tomorrow someone might kidnap you. Either physically or metaphorically. They might kidnap your freedom. Then, which is worse? Kidnapping you or kidnapping your freedom? If someone kidnaps you, we can inform the police and they'll go find you. What if they kidnap your freedom? Your free will. When you get married, what happens? Can I ask the police to save you? No. Because what has just been kidnapped? Free will. Every time you form another bond, another relationship, be that to a spouse or to a child or to some whatever, that's another bond that you form. These links are very strong. Iron will rust away, but not these mental bonds that you form. With time, they only become stronger. Iron will rust away, but the mental bonds you form, they will only get stronger with time. Otherwise, when someone's old and weak and in bed, they should be able to be okay with no one visiting them, right? Have I not related to you my own experiences of when I used to work at the care home while I was in the UK trying to get some experience to become a doctor? And every single client, every single patient in the care home, all they asked for was that, please can I see my folks? Please can I see my children? Please can I see my siblings? Please can you ask them to come and see me? That's all they asked for. They're not fussed about their meals. They're not fussed about the meals, but that's what the children come and pay for their meals. They send money. And you know what they say? The children say, feed them whatever they want, I'll pay for it. Feed them whatever they want, I'll pay for it. That's what the children say, but that's not what the parents want. That's not the children's fault. They sacrifice their free will. They sacrifice their freedom. Now you can't ask a police inspector to find it and bring it back. You can't ask the CID to bring it back because you gave it up willingly. These are bonds that get stronger over time, ladies and gentlemen. When you're older, these bonds are stronger. That's why it is very important that you start now and let the Dhamma work its magic. Internalize the Dhamma. Spend as much time as you can with the Dhamma. Because it's going to take a while for the Dhamma to unshackle you. It's going to take a while. It doesn't happen overnight. Unless, of course, you're Daruchirya. Then Ditte Dutta Mattang, Sute Sutta Mattang, Mute Mutta Mattang, and Vinyate Vinyata Mattang will be sufficient for you. Then this sermon is enough. But typically, we need to invest time. You have to give the medicine of Dhamma to work its magic on you. It has to unscrew you. You can't just pull it out like that. It has to unscrew you. And that takes time. So the Dhamma is a screwdriver, not a hammer. It's a screwdriver. It takes a while. It has to unscrew you. Every single bond that you have, it has to unscrew you from each and every one of them. And it can do it. You have to give it time. Time and exposure. Now, are you still surprised as to why I committed my life entirely to the Sambuddha Sasana? Are you surprised why I didn't choose to do part-time? Why I went full-time? Because I value my life. I value this human life that I have and the few years that I have left. Because I might get another chance next time, but I may not have noble association then. I may not be born into a country where the Dhamma is so readily available. I may come across a teaching where someone says Buddhism is about impermanence. Then, and that the Buddha talks about suffering that everyone knows and understands. Then what's the point? Today you have understood that suffering is not what the Buddha talked about. That's because we are fortunate to have noble association. That's how we all learned that and we came across that. But what if you are born into another country or even here or somewhere where they don't have the truth? And then we'll just all be in fool's paradise. So that is why we always invite you, while you have the chance, while you have the opportunity, everything going for you, don't waste your life. No one else will pay the price for that. Only you. You can insure your car, You can take out car insurance, you can take out home insurance, you can take out contents insurance, you can take out travel insurance, you can take life assurance, not insurance. What about Nibbana? What about happiness? What insurance plan do they give for happiness? Do they give one? Do they? They do. It's called the sasana. How much do you pay for that? How much do you pay for home insurance? Car insurance? They don't come cheap, do they? Happiness insurance? Free. That's why it feels so cheap. Because it's free, that's why it feels so cheap. Don't think like that. How much did you pay for mother's milk? Was it cheap? Was your mother's milk cheap? But it was free. Just because it's free, it doesn't mean it's cheap. Because the best things in life are free. That's why. Right. Let's transfer the merits and bring the sermon to a close. Let us all take a moment to transfer all the merits that we have acquired by making offerings to the infinite virtues of the Noble Triple Gem, listening to the Dhamma and creating a conducive environment for all to come along and practice. Listen to the Dhamma in peace and harmony. Let us take a moment to transfer these merits to the bhikkhus and bhikkhunis, upasakas and upasikas who have since time immemorial protected and preserved the sublime teachings of the Buddha and passed it down to the generations of the noble lineage in the form of the Tripitaka, which is thankfully available to us today to study, understand and comprehend the Dhamma. Let us take a moment to transfer these merits to all the monks and nuns resident in your local temples and nunneries, the Mahanayakas and the Anunayakas, as well as all the monks and nuns resident throughout the world who have dedicated their lives to practice the path and towards Nibbana. Let us take a moment to transfer this message to my teacher, Guru Swami Nuhanse, as well as all the monks resident at the monastery and the Anagarikas and the Anagarikas attached to the monastery. Let us take a moment to transfer this message to those who make great efforts to disseminate the teachings of the Buddha, be that by transliterating these talks, sharing them out with others, or inviting others to join them. May they all rejoice in these merits. Let us also transfer these merits to our devotees and friends of the monastery, who for the sake of merits continue to sustain the Mahasangha by providing the Mahasangha with shelter, arms, robes and medicines, as well as passing on their know-how and continue to extend their well wishes. May they all rejoice in these merits, and by the power of these merits may they be healed of any physical and mental ailments and overcome any obstacles to their spiritual progress. May they abstain from the unmeritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the Noble Eightfold Path, and may they all attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let us also take a moment to transfer these merits to our mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters, sons and daughters, grandparents, uncles, aunts, cousins, nephews and nieces, our friends, our acquaintances, our employers and our employees, our friends, and those who've gone the extra mile on our behalf, those who've left no stone unturned to help make our lives better. Let us take a moment to transfer all these merits to them, and by the power of these merits, if any of them have been, may they be healed of any physical and mental ailments and overcoming obstacles, spiritual progress. May they abstain from the unmeritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the Noble Eightfold Path, and may they all attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let us also take a moment to transfer these merits to Devas and Brahmas, spirits and demons, primarily the Sakadeva, as well as all the numerous gods and deities who have committed themselves to fulfill and preserve the Sambuddha Sasana. Let us transfer these merits to our guardian deities who keep a watchful eye over us and keep us out of harm's way. May they prosper in divine power and wisdom. May they abstain from the unmeritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the Noble Eightfold Path, and may they all attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let us also take a moment to transfer these merits to those who passed away in our name, our forefathers, our ancestors, our loved ones, reminding ourselves that in this long journey of samsara, they will have helped us, supported us, and assisted us in many ways. Let us also transfer these merits to those who lost their lives in the wars, be they friend or foe, members of the armed forces as well as the police force. Let us also transfer these merits to those who lost their lives in natural disasters and calamities such as tsunamis and earthquakes, landslides, fires, floods, pandemics, and various other natural disasters, reminding ourselves that in this long journey of samsara, they will have helped us, supported us, and assisted us, and with an abundance of compassion and loving kindness towards all of them, let us transfer all of the merits that we have all acquired to them. May, by the power of these merits, if any of them have been born in the woeful planes, they redeem themselves to be born in the blissful plane. May they abstain from the unmeritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble eightfold path, and may they all attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And finally, may by the power and blessings of all the merits we have acquired throughout the day, we be able to witness the advent of many hundreds of thousands of arahants on this blessed land. And may you and I and everyone who's helped make this program a success become a Rahatan Vahanse or an Arahat Theranin Vahanse in this era itself and in this Sambuddha Sasana itself. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. May the blessings of the Noble Triple Gem be with you all. The members of the Mahasangha will now transfer their blessings to you. Raga ginnen midetva Dvesha ginnen midetva Moha ginnen midetva Nibbana parama sukhayen Sukhita taravetva Nibbana parama sukhayen Sukhita taravetva Mamada siyalu loka siyalu satvayo Nibbana parama sukhayen Sukhita taravetva Nibbana parama sukhayen Sukhita taravetva Nibbana parama sukhayen Sukhita taravetva Raga gini niveva Desha gini niveva Moha gini niveva Nivan sapa labeva Nivan sapa labeva Nivan sapa labeva Tunuruwange සූසි අනන්ත මහා ගුණ බැලෙන් සියලු ලෝක සියලු සත්වයෝම නිබ්බාන පරම සුඛයෙන් සූතතර වෙත්වා. සාදු සාදු සාදු.